Woo,
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Hello, this is Renee Marchol. I'm 43 years old, and I'm here with my friend Tabora from Audio Listening Magazine.
Hello, I am Tabora Constantennia, and I am 47 years old. Yes, I have earned that title. And today we're going to talk about one of the places Renee and I have gotten to meet and get to know each other.
Yes. One of our very early outings as friends was the San Francisco Renaissance Fair. It took place in Golden Gate Park. And I guess we'll start with Tabby. How did you get there? Did you live in San Francisco proper?
No, I didn't. I would have told you I lived in the East Bay, but just about the time, very close to the end of the time that I lived there, I was told by native East Bay people, like, that's not East Bay. Okay. East Bay is Oakland, Berkeley, Hayward. You have to actually touch water. And I'm like, you guys are a bunch of elitists. You know that? But, anyways, to answer your question, no. I lived about 40 miles east of San Francisco. So, and if that you're having trouble picture this, go to the Pacific Ocean and then goes 40 miles east. There you go. So that's what I did. So when I went there, how did I do this? I either took the BART. Oh, wait a second. Was that the day we met each other on the BART?
I think it had something to do with public transportation. I don't have the feeling that I drove. I don't think I rode in your car. So I'm
No,
thinking Bart.
I know.
You
Okay,
think
so this is
maybe like
where I remember one of our meetings, it may have been this one, was that you live not that far away from me, but if I'm not mistaken, I took the BART from my area and we agreed to meet each other on like the Pleasant Hill BART station. Okay. I
that
know we did
sounds
that once, but I don't remember the
vaguely.
exact.
Yeah. we're going way back. We're going way back.
Yes,
But yes,
since
I
you
think
mentioned it,
so.
it happened like in 2004-ish, 2005-ish, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken. So, and I
Yes.
do know we did that. I just don't remember if
Mm-hmm.
it was this outing you mentioned. But
Right.
if I'm, go ahead.
Yes. I do remember somehow it was public transportation related, and we got to Golden Gate Park. Yeah, Golden Gate Park.
That's a very good question. I feel like those dreams where you from inception, there's a little funny note that I always wondered about afterwards where it says the reason you can tell that you're in the dream, if you're ever wondering, is that you're doing something very normal and you all of a sudden can't remember how you got there and why you're
Mm-hmm.
there in the first place. It almost feels like that, but Renee is
Yes.
absolutely right. We did go to the Renaissance. I'm sorry, we went to the San Francisco Golden Gate Park. I thought I had been there before, but this turned out to be my very first time going. And the thing I remember most is it was gargantuan. Wow. I did not know. First, I didn't know where it was. Turned out where I thought it was, that was not Golden Gate Park at all. And number two, it was very big. I guess that's their version of Central Park in San Francisco. So, and unfortunately, it's actually not right by the Golden Gate Bridge, which really ticked me off. But it was still a very nice park. It looks like a piece of country in the middle of an extremely urban area. So, and it's very large. So even though you Renaissance fairs tend to be fairly large things, a few acres that they spend, you could not see it just entering the park. You actually we had to figure out where to go in the park. Fortunately, I think Renee had a map, or at least she was better oriented than I did. And we had to go and hunting for this particular thing at one of the entrances. That I do remember. So,
Tabby describes this so well. It's almost like you disappear into the woods in the middle of the city.
and we do mean woods. There's actual trees that are very tall. There's redwoods in that part of the country. So you got these extremely tall trees that have, some of them have kind of hanging, I don't know, they're vines or whatever. A lot of greenery, just really out of place that you would think in literally the middle of an exceedingly urban city. But yes.
Yes. I really felt like I was stepping into a fairy tale, a folk tale. And that's what Ren fairs really are. In many cases, you leave the city environment and you're enveloped in a place with redwood trees, just as Tabby described. And what was pavement and sidewalk become dusty, like dirt packed paths. And then you would see the beginning of kiosks, and then people dressed in garb from another era and who no longer say, hey, what's up? More like prithee and huzzah.
Although they did have some interesting modern conveniences. This was the first place I've ever seen signs or button that says "Ask me," and I remember asking one. I'm like, "What am I supposed to ask you?" And they said, "Just if you have any questions or you need any information, or if you need to know certain places to go," which I found really funny. But they just have the big, most of the time they're buttons, but I have seen places, again, I don't remember if it was Ren Fair or something else, where they have like a big sign. They're walking around with like a big sign on their head that just says, "Ask me." And you're like, so I figured I'd ask them. I didn't know what to ask, but they said ask. So,
And also, they took modern credit cards.
yes, they definitely
the,
did.
the event was not free. And I remember things like the old MasterCard.
I didn't remember that. That's hilarious. Although it looked, they did do a good job of trying to maintain the illusion. So I was totally ready for them to ask for like, a pound of coin or something like that. But that's pretty funny. So,
Payment in the form of nutmeg.
yes, or some, what is it, expensive spice, cinnamons, because that's the whole story, is that one of the reasons the New World was discovering was because they were looking for a quicker way to get to their spices. Okay, so, but yeah, so it was fun. There was a lot of garb. Do you remember animals there? I do not remember if there were animals there. So.
I don't remember any animals. I do remember straw and hay bales as part of the
Mhm.
ambiance, but I
Mhm.
don't remember there being any other animals outside of the horses for the jousting. I don't remember any goats or any small animals.
Okay. I don't have that memory either. Okay, I think I
Hmm.
took pictures. I'm not sure. I did not get a digital camera until after 2005. So if I have
Hmm.
pictures, they're hiding somewhere. I just remember the very colorful costumes and whatnot. Oh, I remember one. In fact, there is a picture of me floating around on the internet with this, where they had. Renee should remember this too, because she actually bought something from this booth, if she remembers. But there
Hmm.
was one booth that were selling vests. Again, very colorful. I like very colorful things. Okay. And it had a lot of different textures and stuff on there and lots of colors. And there were vests. Okay. And there was this lady who was selling them. And again, she was dressed up in her, I know it's supposed to be medieval garb, but I don't think they had that many colors during the Middle Ages. You read about what actually happened in the Middle Ages, and people were poor, okay, and dirty, all right. But this was very colorful. But have to appreciate that, concession to the modern sensibilities. But she had a bunch of very nice looking vests. They were more than I wanted to spend for them, but I thought they were very good. I specifically remember her saying that a lot of women like these vests because they can use them to replace their bras. And I remember thinking,
Hmm.
wow, okay. But they did have a good fit for them. And I can truly understand why somebody might want to use one of them. So, do you still have that vest, Renee?
I still have that vest. I've moved to Seattle and now I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I have kept that vest from that trip, that souvenir with you. That vest definitely is what I call sort of like a bra alternative where
Good
if I
support.
put it on the outside of my clothes and then
Mhm.
use some suede lacing, it takes
Okay.
the place of a bra quite nicely. And it's
Nice.
held up. It is held up all these years. It's reversible. It's solid forest green on one side. On the inside, it's a patterned, sort of embroidered multicolor with flowers on the inside, and it reminds me so much of Sarah from Labyrinth.
Okay.
that vest
Nice.
that vest that she had that was big in the, is it 90s or 80s when Labyrinth was around?
I think that was 80s. That
Okay.
was 80s. Okay.
Yes. The whole experience was very otherworldly and labyrinth like to
Had
be
you been
there.
have you been to Renaissance fairs before? This year?
I had been to a Renaissance fair when I was an English major at UC Davis. I wish I was exposed to Renaissance fairs, but I wasn't. Back in high school, my teacher had a Shakespearean fair that she organized in the cafeteria at the end of the year, and it was very, very similar. We didn't have hay bales, and we definitely did not have jousting or horses, but she set it up that there was entertainments, entertainments,
Okay.
and merriments and people performing, and a few students that were hand selected to be roaming
Okay.
actors based on Romeo and Juliet that we had studied earlier that year. So it was dreamy because the handsome boys, they wore sort of the loose fitting long sleeve outfits that you see men in Elizabethan era wear.
Okay.
It's like, it was, I still remember that. And as
I
far
can
as
tell,
a
yeah.
Ren fair, it's like, I remember that.
That's
As far
funny.
as an actual Ren fair, when I was dating someone, I had
Okay.
gone to one in near Gilroy, no, near
Okay.
Gilroy, California, dry, definitely not city, more like by small airports. That's where they had it. Uh,
Okay.
but yes, I that was my Ren Fair experience, and I was thinking how fun it will be to go there with a female friend.
Yeah. It was fun. The other thing is, what was that? So this was a time where we didn't do, well, we did talk because we're talking about, where we wanted to see and what we wanted to do, but it was just kind of experiencing this whole thing. And like when I said it, you did feel a little bit like you're in a storybook. I honestly wish they had more story things because it would have been perfectly suited for, like, there was a they turned it into a movie, but I'm wondering if it had been a Broadway play at first, but it was called Into the Woods. And it
Mm-hmm.
was a compilation of all the little fairy tale stories that all happened in the woods, So you had like Little Red Riding Hood and, sorry, the dwarves, Snow White and the Seven Dwarves,
Mm-hmm.
and a few other ones. And you realize, you know what? A lot of fairy tales really do take place in the woods. But it was
Yes.
Broadway style. So they're, singing about their experiences and meeting up with people. So, you see Red Riding Hood talking to like the huntsman from, what it was just kind of funny. So I kind of wish that they had somebody to come out of the woods and tell like a really good story because it would have been a great
Mm-hmm.
movie for that. So, but they did have jousting and food for purchase and, um, wow, what else? Again, a lot of people in garb. Oh, I do
Mm-hmm.
remember mentioning this. There was I told this to Renee because I had seen this before, but this is the first time I really got to see it in person where they had like a tent, but the tent was covered with extremely colorful, I'd almost say oriental rugs, but they
Sure.
weren't quite oriental because again,
Oh
this is
yes.
a red
And
fair.
Tabby, would you say that once more just because of that buzzing sound? Would you say it once more?
Oh, sure. So I remember at least one, perhaps two tents set up with really colorful rugs, kind of like every
Mm-hmm.
movie you see with like you're in some type of Turkish place where they sell rugs and it looks like they have a tent colored with all the colorful rugs.
Mm-hmm.
Except they weren't Turkish or Oriental rugs. That was the name. That's what they call them. They were actual. They just had a lot of colors in them, and I always thought if I could ever like recreate that tint in my house with those type of rugs, I would love to. And then I actually saw some of the prices on those rugs later on. I'm like, but not anytime soon. Okay, because they're quite expensive. But again, I like a lot of color. I like colorful fabrics that you can kind of drape around. When I was a little kid, I always wanted a canopy bed, but that was part of the
Mm-hmm.
reason is because it had the effect of colorful fabrics that are surrounding you and making you feel like you're in a safe, secure, colorful cocoon, I guess. I don't know.
Oh
So,
yes. Yeah, and for our listeners, one example, if you want to visualize it, would be the Narnia movies and the war encampments. Actually, the outdoor war
Oh,
encampments, and
yes.
there's a beautiful
Very
tent on the outside, and then you go inside that tent. You'll see how richly adorned it is with those tapestries and those rugs to walk upon,
yes.
all the comforts, and that's I'll let you tell it, Tabby. That's one of the things where I got a glimpse into your imagination in your mind. Um, Tabby is a fan of Anne of Green Gables, and walking through that Ren Fair with you gave such scope to the imagination.
Yeah, it did. Okay. But it was just, I like colors, and I realize it's very romanticized, but you have this very happy picture of middle-aged folks, dancing around, and they're doing their pageantry basically, so I think there were a few people kind of in, like, suits of armor, or am I imagining things?
No,
Okay.
you're
There was
correct.
it's been a while, but it was fun. Okay. And it was just nice to enjoy, just to see what type of, what they do. Some places they are more elaborate with their decorations and the things that they put up. Other people are quite sparse. I remember earlier. I used to live north of this area, and they had something similar. It wasn't a full blown Ren Fair type of thing, but it was similar. And they had some elements, like obviously everybody's hawking their wares there, so everybody wants you to buy stuff. In fact, I remember that particular place you could buy swords. Okay,
Mm.
yes, actual swords. But they didn't have a lot of other stuff
Oh,
there. You're
sorry.
forgetting.
I'm so sorry. I burped.
Right.
Could you
It's okay.
could you say that again so that my burp doesn't cover what you
Okay,
said?
so you can, right, so you can edit. Okay, so I went to I'm not even sure what you call it, a medieval pageantry type of thing. It looked very much like a Ren Fair, but it was north of where we were currently, about 40 miles north. A few years surrounding this particular event, but they didn't have as much of the colors or the pageantries or the not a lot of the costume. I mean, part of the whole thing is just so you can see what it looks like. Okay. And this one was very good because there was a lot of things to see. You didn't have to, obviously everybody wants you to buy stuff, but a lot of it is just being able to see. You have people dressed up in, like Renee said, in those long shirted things that look like they should be dancing across stage speaking Shakespeare or something like that. Or the ladies wearing the pleasant dresses and, have pigtails or whatever, or, little kids running around in, dirty shirts or something like that. Um, this one,
Peasants.
peasants, right, but real happy looking peasants. Okay. Real Pleasance had the Black Plague, okay, but they seem to be doing quite well. This other pageant, 40 miles north that I went to, it seemed like their biggest thing was almost like a flea market, where they had a couple people sort of, well, they had some people dressed up, and again, some people dressed up because they were buying swords, so you got to look the part. But it was mainly to buy stuff and not so much emphasis on the costumes or the settings
Hmm.
or the just making it look kind of cool looking. So, and again, it helps that you have a nice force that you can do it into. So
Yes. Yeah. I remember being very hungry and thirsty in the middle of all of this festivity. And what was available was a lot of like actually amusement fair food from what I remember.
yeah.
Some things that are definitely anachronistic, not of the time period, like turkey legs maybe,
That's right, they
but
did have turkey
like just like a
legs.
turkey leg so you could pretend to grab that and go watch the joust. But I remember I ordered strawberries, whipped cream, and funnel cake. And did we
Okay.
share, Tabby? Can you help me remember?
Okay, so I do not remember the funnel cake as much. I'm sure there was some there because that sounds like that. Because I rarely get funnel cake, but I do like it. Okay. And it makes sense that I had a bag because by this point in time, I need to go back a little bit. The last time I had funnel cake was with another buddy where we had gone somewhere in the greater San Francisco Bay Area. It
Hmm.
was an amusement park. And I decided, I think this was the first funnel cake I ever got. But these things were huge. Okay.
How big,
Like,
Tabby?
how big was it? Okay. So here we go. I hope you can see this. But like this big, bigger than my hand. Okay.
Two hands width or no?
Wait, let me see if I can. I don't have my glasses, so I can't see this. At least as wide as two hands. Okay.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
Probably. Again, I don't know if my camera's showing this really well. Oh, I have the background on. Let me see if I can do this a little bit better. I apologize. User error here. But get rid of this and none. Okay, so let's try this again. So, sorry. Come on, camera. So I'm just gonna have to use inches because I can't get it on my camera.
Okay.
My camera isn't that advanced. So let's say maybe 8 inches tall
Okay.
and maybe 5 inches wide.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. But big. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
Right. Right.
So I do not remember the funnel cake as much, although I'm pretty sure we had it because it just sounded like fun. But I think I remember getting, or one of us got the onion, the fried onion. Do you remember that, Renee?
Oh, okay. So I'm thinking that maybe it was you because my memories are about the funnel cake
Okay.
being like at least the size of my hand,
Yeah, it
really
was big.
hot, really oily with like cold whipped cream and
Okay.
lots of sliced fresh strawberries and lots of strawberry
Okay.
juice so that the plate was actually bending slowly into half, like
I
almost
do
like a
still remember
taco,
that. Okay.
almost like a
I
taco.
do kind of
But
remember
yeah,
that. Yeah.
tell me about the onion. Tell me about the onion.
So one of us, it might have been that you got the funnel cake and I got the onion, and we just kind of split the two between ourselves. But we got, okay, this is probably anachronistic because I'm not sure how they would have gotten onions back then. But there is I won't say fast food joint, but there is a chain restaurant that sells like blooming onions. Okay.
Hmm.
They, now, you know, it can't be one onion, but they get this huge onion thing and they fry the whole thing. So it looks very
Ah.
pretty. You know, you have petals basically that you peel off that has onions, but it's a fried dish. Okay. And it's gargantuan. Again, it's probably as big as this funnel cake we just talked about. Okay. And one of us, since you remember the funnel cake, it's probably me who got the fried onion thing. So you buy the onion blue. Now, this is extremely anachronistic. You would need some Monsanto's back in like 1080 to pull this off. Anyways, it was a big onion. Okay. So
A
it's
genetic
basically like,
modification.
right. Okay. Unless they, somebody came back, Bill Gates had, relatives back there. I don't know. But my point was it was a very large onion and you pull off the petals like you would onion rings in order to eat this thing. But that is way too much. Even if you wanted to try to eat it, because it's fried does something with, filling you up in weird ways. So it was really hard to eat all by yourself. So most likely I did have a bad because I had learned in the past that if you're going to get something, if you know you're going to get food and you're not sure how you're going to get it back home, it might be a good idea to make preparations for this one. So I do kind of remember saving pieces of that to take home because I thought it was kind of a waste to buy that much food and not be able, because it was, I'm good at like saving my stomach so I can eat big stuff, but I do have my limits. Okay. And that was, I think, actually bigger than my stomach at that point. So,
Yes,
yeah.
it was like a fried food feast. It was a fried funnel cake and fried onions and folks. I mean, this is so revealing just about you. I learn about myself and I learn about other people when we're going through some sort of experiential setting, right? So
Mhm.
picture this. We're two friends who are just getting to know each other. We're pretty new. And what do we order? I order a very messy, oily, drippy, messy, plate foldingly heavy funnel cake with fruit, and I'm offering half to a new buddy. And here's my friend, so comfortable with me as to order pungent, delicious, aromatic onion
Right.
to share. So we're going to indulge in some onion breath together.
Right, onion breath and whipped cream stuff. I need to point out that both of us are slightly, lactose intolerant as well, so, you know, so we're like, "That's it. Today's out. We're just enjoying ourselves today." So
We are going to get to know each other as buddies.
really well, yes.
Rumbling tummies and onion
Oh,
breath.
right. But what better way to spend the time in the forest? I mean, those trees are supposed to filter out stuff, right? Hey. So, you know,
Aw, how
but I also
perfect.
remember, like I said, I am pretty sure there was public transportation involved in getting us there. Again, I mean, like, dream, how did we get there? Okay. But that means if we did take, yeah, we did because you got us on the bus to get us there because you
Mhm,
knew how to
mhm.
navigate the bus system. I had never taken buses in San Francisco. I had been
Okay.
to the city quite a few times by this point, but
Oh,
normally I drive
yeah.
there. And like every urban large city, trying to find parking places that didn't cost $3 million is a little bit like finding your glasses when in the dark when you've left them someplace you know you shouldn't. It's just like really hard to do. So you took us on a bus. Okay.
Mhm.
Remember that. And so
Now
we
it's
did.
coming back to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and also, like I said, San Francisco has a pretty good public transportation. You have the light rail trains, which is what I would have taken in most likely to get to
Mhm.
San Francisco. But once you get to the rail, there's only some designated stops in San Francisco.
Yes. Mhm.
Golden Gate Park is probably 5 to 10 miles away from the nearest BART stop. Okay,
Right. It is
so
not an
too far
easy
to
trek.
okay, way too far to walk unless you just start at like 6 o'clock in the morning or something like that. So, and also San Francisco has some big hills, so we took a bus from part of the way there to this place over there,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and I was impressed because I'm like, I don't know where you're going, so I'm just gonna have to trust you.
Aw, that brings back a lovely tidbit is that when we're getting to know each other and as I'm kind of guiding us through the Muni. We took the Muni for
Mhm.
part of the stretch. And the only reason why I know the Muni is my favorite person who is passed now. I used to go to San Francisco with my grandma, with my favorite person, and we would ride the Muni system pretty regularly. I was doing that since I was 4 years old.
Oh
So I
wow.
had a chance to say, oh, um, I can take us through the Muni to Golden Gate Park because I've been doing it since I was 4 because I would go to church in San Francisco with my grandmother this way. So that was
Hmm.
like a way to know like to disclose a little bit about myself.
That was nice. So thank
Oh.
you for that. I have to tell you though, but because of your guidance system, I started to learn, was it you? It may have been you, but somebody told me that the nice thing about San Francisco's buses is unlike some buses that make you feel like you're on a treasure chest to find, lost gold in the Bermuda Triangle or something like that. Most of the buses in San Francisco are pretty straightforward. They go north and south and they go east and west. Okay. And they're pretty good about that. So even if you don't know where you're going, if you know one is going west and east, west, it's going to go east and that's going to pretty much be its route. If you know one is going north, that means it's going to go south at some point. You're pretty much good. And every few blocks, there's another bus that kind of does the same thing. So that made it tell you this because many years later, I had a buddy of mine who came out to San Francisco. Okay. She did this like every few years. And she's like, I'm going to be here for the weekend. Would you like to help me, navigate and hang out together? And I'd love to
Mhm.
do that. I said, did you get a BART ticket or something? Because
Ah.
navigating the buses are really easy. Wonder where I got that idea from. And
Yes.
she didn't trust me. She's like, I'm a little nervous about this. Would you do this with me? And I'm like, I have no problem. Let me tell you what to do. Okay. But part of the reason I could do that is because somebody introduced me to this and showed me how easy it was to do. And that was you, Renee. So thank
That
you for
makes
that.
me so happy. You're so welcome. It's amazing how small things and how um, friends meet each other in a certain season and it impacts something else, like some other friendship experience with someone else in a positive way, and that makes me so happy.
Mm.
I kind of look at the Ren Fair experience as sort of like a metaphor as well for our friendship. I'm so glad that you're willing to go into the woods with me and journey, and now here we are at, Audio Listening Magazine, and we have so many other journeys to go on to, and
Me
yeah,
too.
thanks for
Okay.
that.
We're not dead yet, and we're going to enjoy this. So, God is good. The world is full of the wonder of the glories of God. So, I like that. So,
And funnel cake
and
and
funnel cakes and
onions that he
onion rings
made.
and other things that we have not found out yet. This is going to be fun. So,
Thank you, Tabby.
you're welcome.